Welcome back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the summer today with the Japanese model. Now I'm going to do the actual summer forecast next weekend, next Sunday. But I thought I'd just take the JMA, the Japanese model, and extrapolate it for today, because there's a lot of information that you get with the Japanese model. It's not just a basic sort of generic 500 milliwatt high anomaly chart as you get with a lot of models. You get a lot of information with the JMA. So I thought we'd have a look at it this week, because I won't have time to run through all of the information, all of the data in the summer forecast next week. Next week we'll be getting about 7 or 8 models together and see what they're all showing. And obviously, because there are time constraints, I can't go much beyond 20 minutes really in terms of these videos. So there are time constraints. I won't have time to run through all of the information that you get with the Japanese model. So I thought we'd just have a quick sneak peek at it this week as a way of setting up really next week's final and official GasWeatherVids.com summer forecast. Before I get on with the Japanese 3-month look ahead though, just want to talk about the advertising. There's video ads on my pages at GasWeatherVids.com, and if you hit play on the video ad, you'll be sporting GasWeatherVids.com. Thanks so much for doing that. The advertising basically pays for me to sit here and talk to you via website, because it pays the website really. So I couldn't have GasWeatherVids.com, couldn't talk to you via GasWeatherVids.com without the ads. So thanks so much for getting involved and supporting the website. So we'll start off with the Northern Hemisphere view of the Northern Hemisphere from the JMA model for the next 3 months. Then we'll move on and have a look at some other charts which show more of a global view, and have a look at how these charts are corresponding really in terms of temperatures and precipitation. So what we'll start off with first of all though is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart for June. And as with the JMA model, what you need to do first of all before we do anything else is that we're really upside down, we're just there. But it's quite obvious to see what's going on, it's quite easy to see what's going on really. 500 millibar height anomaly is generally the yellow and orange colours are extrapolating high pressure, the blue colours are extrapolating to low pressure. So what we've got here being signal for June is high pressure sitting out to the west of the country and ridging in through the country as well. So that's not a bad chart really for June. It's quite Atlantic based, it's not particularly continental based. The area is really coming in off the Atlantic around the top of that high pressure, so wouldn't necessarily be all that hot, but it's certainly pretty settled. It's not too bad really if that was to come off for June. Now, as we go through to July, the 500 millibar height anomaly chart is somewhat different in that we lose that area of above average height, so we replace it with a shallow area of below average height. So we've got these blue colours there really sitting over the country in July. The suggestion then is that we lose the ridge of high pressure out west of the country, that goes away, and we replace it with a trough, but not a particularly deep trough, but a trough of low pressure, and at the very least that would be enough to bring showers or maybe some longer spells of rain in places as well. But jet stream of this is probably going to the south of the country as well, so it wouldn't be particularly warm. We're probably more or less on the cool side of the jet. But so I'll look at the corresponding temperature, precipitation, and interestingly wind flow forecasts that go with this in a moment. Then finally going through to the 500 millibar height anomaly for August, and things deteriorate. It's still this idea which is present in several models, particularly the CFF, but it's present in several models. It's still this idea that really we get a deterioration through the summer. June's not too bad, we've got some high pressure ridging through the country, but by the time we get through to August, we've still got that trough of low pressure around the country. We've got quite deep blues showing up there right over top of British Isles. Don't know if you can make that out, but just there the colours are actually going quite deep in terms of the blue. It's centred right over top of the country, so that is a trough of low pressure really sitting there over much of western, northwestern Europe, probably centred somewhere around the British Isles if that is right. And again the jet stream is doing something like that, going around the country. We're on the cool side of the jet. So again, it's not a particularly inspiring scene. Actually, that's a little bit wrong for what the jet stream doing. I'll just highlight it again. The jet stream is going something like that around that ridge that's blocking up to the north and the west of the country, and then around the trough. So again, we are on the cool side of the jet with that through August, and with the trough deepening, it does imply it could be a particularly unsettled August. That's 500 millibar high, so we can actually have a look at the sea level pressure anomaly And again, it shows a very similar sort of setup. Really, it's not quite as deep in terms of the blue colours as the 500 millibar height anomaly from the JMA, but it's still there. It's still the upper trough of below average heights or low pressure sitting across the country through August. So not a particularly inspiring summer pattern being signalled there. June not too bad, but things deteriorate through July and become really quite poor as we get through to August. Now this is the sort of global view of all this. We're seeing the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere sort of flattened out on this chart, and again it's a similar representation to what we had before. So the British Isles on this chart is just over here in the top right hand corner as you're looking at it. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly again for June, but instead of looking at it from top down, from the North Pole down, we're looking at sort of a global view, and we've got that ridge of high pressure, the upper heights with those orange and yellow colours sitting to the west of the country. So it's the same chart really as what we was looking at before. It's just a different way of looking at it. So we've already looked at 500 millibar height anomaly, so we won't bother with them again. Let's have a look first of all at the temperature forecast and then precipitation forecast, and then have a look at some interesting wind forecasts as well. So this is the temperature forecast for June, and there's the British Isles just there. So we're essentially average to slightly above average. We're in that sort of creamy colour, which is anomalies of 0 to 1 degrees above average. So a fairly warmish sort of June coming up, if that's right. Not desperately hot, but certainly a little bit warmer than the average. In terms of precipitation, again, it's slightly below average. We're in those green, we're in those pale beige colours, I should say. So that's again anomalies of around 0 to 1 below average. So yeah, it's a fairly dry, fairly warmish sort of June being signalled. Some interesting charts have been added to these, which are wind flow charts. You can actually make out with these wind arrows where the wind is coming from. Again, the British Isles is just over here. Not sure if you make it out desperately well, perhaps, but the wind, anyway, is going around that ridge of high pressure. So it's going something like that. Winds generally from a west, maybe northwesterly direction, but the air is originating from a southwesterly point in the Atlantic, so that's why it's quite a mildish sort of month. They're very interesting charts here, so you can find a link to the JMA model on my links page. So that's June. Let's have a look at July to see what it's showing for July. And again, same idea. We'll have a look at the temperature, precipitation, and wind flow forecast again. So remember, July, we've got that trough coming back on the JMA, and for temperatures, as I said, we're going to be seeing the temperatures going maybe a little bit below average, because the jet stream around the trough is digging southwards. So by the time we get through to July, we're starting to go on the cooler side of the jet. There's the British Isles just there, and we're more or less in those blue colours by then. So that's temperature anomalies going 0 to 1 degree below average. So things do cool off from June to July. Of course, July is a warmer month, so actually the temperature will come out a little bit above what we get in June, but of course we're talking about anomalies here. So June has an above average anomaly, July has a below average anomaly. As we go through to the rainfall forecast for July, well, it turns a little bit wet, particularly for England and Wales. Actually, you probably can't make that out all that well, but the blue colours are there to the south of the country. Again, sort of the idea is that the jet stream is digging southwards really through the Atlantic and around that trough of low pressure, taking the most unsettled conditions down to the south of the country. Let's have a look at the wind flow charts for July, see what it's suggesting but wind is doing. And again, well, we've got winds now coming in from sort of a northerly or northeasterly direction. Not sure if you make the arrows out terribly well, but the winds there are being seen to be coming in from a northerly or maybe northeasterly direction. So that's why we get the slip in temperatures through July. As I won't have a time to go through all of this information through the actual summer forecast, which you will be able to see next week, but I thought it'd be interesting for you to sort of extrapolate this out, because there are some very interesting charts mixed in. And then as we go through to August, remember the idea for August is that trough of low pressure that sets up in July is deepening as we go through to August. So again, you'll not be surprised to see that the temperature anomalies are coming out below average on the JMA for August. The precipitation anomaly is also coming out above average in those blue colours, so that is precipitation going above average. It would be a wetter than average month if that's right. Of course, it's all being caused by the trough of low pressure sitting more or less over the top of the country. Just have a quick look at what the wind is being signalled to be doing, and again the arrows here are coming in from a northerly or northeasterly direction, something like that. So we've got the trough of high pressure. I'll just show you why that's happening. The trough of high pressure will be sitting away to the northwest of the country. Low pressure probably sitting somewhere to the south of the southeast, and in between, that's why we're getting the winds coming in from a northerly or northeasterly direction. So you definitely can't say that the 3 monthly update from the Japanese model is particularly good. June is okay, it's drier than average and it's warmer than average, with high pressure ridging in from the west. But once we get through to July and August, things deteriorating markedly. The change starts in July. By the time we get through to August, it really is looking very, very poor indeed. Bad idea is sort of churning away in the background of quite a few of these models. Whether it actually comes off, we'll have to wait and see, of course. It may be the way that I go with the summer forecast next week. You have to come back and find out. We'll have all the models together, including this one, next week. I won't go through all the charts next week, but we'll have a basic sort of summary of what it's showing along with all the other models. And eventually I'm going to have to come to a conclusion about what I think is going to happen this summer. It's quite a tricky one to pin down, actually, because it looks like it's going to be a summer with an El Nino developing, and quite what that means often is a little bit uncertain. So very interesting charts from the Japanese model. Deteriorating summer if it's right, starting off okay, getting very, very poor by the time we get through to August. We'll see what all the other models are showing next week. On the Stormwatch page this evening, I may have a quick update looking at the risk of some pretty thundery weather perhaps coming up over the next 2 or 3 days. So I'll keep you updated on my Twitter feed and Facebook pages about that, whether I do it or not. But there may be an update on the Stormwatch page this evening. If you're interested in thunderstorms, that's one to look out for. That's it for now. Hope you found the video interesting. Enjoy the sunshine. If you're down in the south, it's the last really warm, dry, sunny day, so get out and make the most of it this afternoon. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.